Let's get to this next fight, though, because I know
Oh,
everyone is dying to talk about this one.
this is the one, folks. Okay, Al, I've been betting in this MMA game, UFC, for a while now. Okay, I've seen every which way a fight can go, but I'm gonna tell you right now, this is a first for me. This is a first for the UFC. Aljamain Sterling is your new bantamweight champion of the world by disqualification, 4 minutes, 29 seconds of the fourth round. Oh my goodness, Al, I'm still shook. I absolutely had a bet on Petr Yan. I absolutely was going to cash that bet. I'm going to go as far as to say this, Al, and this is God's honest truth. I really believe this. If you had a bet on Petr Yan, good on you. Solid read. He will be the heavy favorite in the rematch. You were on your way to cashing that bet. You placed a very solid, sound bet at an incredible price, okay? If you bet on Aljamain Sterling, hey, hats off to you. Congratulations. You received a gambling gift from the gambling gods. And that's really all that matters. You won the bet. You got to take a W any way you can get it in this game. But a bet on Aljamain Sterling was not a good bet. But you know what? In this game, good bets lose and bad bets win. I can't think of a better situation. This fight really comes down to this. Aljamain Sterling had some very good moments in this fight. He started very strong. He landed a good amount of significant strikes. But where this fight stood, I personally had Petr Yan up on the scorecards. Interestingly enough, one judge did have Aljamain Sterling leading 2-1 on their scorecards, but I absolutely believe Petr Yan, even on that person's scorecard, was about to win the fourth and was absolutely on this path to win the fifth round. Aljamain Sterling looked like a broken man. We were seeing body language indicators that, he was kind of counting himself out. The Aljamain Sterling path to victory, how Aljamain Sterling was supposed to win this fight, he was going to go in there and dominate Petr Yan with the wrestling. That is not what happened at all here, okay? Aljamain Sterling, I believe, goes 1 for 7 on takedowns. Meanwhile, Petr Yan goes 6 for 7 on takedowns. For my money, Petr Yan's winning this fight and is going to win this fight. We see Petr Yan repeatedly start slow and step on the gas and cook his opponents.
Yeah.
We were in the process of that going down. Sure enough, Aljamain Sterling finds himself in that spot. The miscommunication in the corner, right? Petr Yan asks his corner. First, it's a very complicated situation. The referee tells Petr Yan that Aljo's down, implying he cannot land the knee to the head. That would be an illegal shot, right? Petr Yan, who does not speak English, right, asks his corner in Russian, "Can I hit him?" They say yes. Then he asks, "Can I kick him?" One corner man is saying punches. The other one yells out yes. Petr Yan throws the knee, blatantly illegal. The referee considers it an intentional illegal strike, which immediately makes it a disqualification if Aljamain Sterling says he cannot continue. Unfortunately, we have a situation in this sport with a championship belt on the line where a man who has absorbed an illegal shot literally has a win the fight free card in his pocket. And basically it's a matter of pride whether or not he pulls it. Now, I know this is long-winded, but I want to touch on two options here. Aljamain Sterling had two options, really. Now, option A, he really was hurt that bad and could not continue, okay? If that is the case, I'm okay with Aljamain Sterling winning this fight. Maybe I'm not okay with him winning this fight. I'm okay with the fight no longer continuing, right? Now, if Aljamain Sterling could have continued, now don't get me wrong, I'm sure he was diminished. I'm sure it was a very hard shot. But had he continued, I feel like, we wouldn't have to question his pride. We've seen a similar scenario where Anthony Smith in the John Jones match was put in a similar scenario, and he sucked it up. He said, you know what? Even though I know I'm losing this fight, I'm down on the scorecards. I just can't take this cheap win. Let's let this fight continue. And a point was deducted. Aljamain Sterling on the spot had to make a very, very tough decision. Like I said, if you truly couldn't continue, then that's just how it needs to be, right? We need fighter safety to be important in this sport. But if it's option B, and I know a lot of people are going to call him out, and unfortunately he's going to have to carry this with him for the rest of his career. If he really did say, you know what, I feel like I'm losing this fight, I'm going to take this cheap win and we can run it back later. I'll try to make adjustments. Maybe I win again. That really hurts his legacy. The thing is, though, we're not Aljamain Sterling. We'll never know. Aljamain Sterling is the only man who will ever truly know what the real deal was. And I know Aljo didn't want this win to come this way. When they put the belt on him, he immediately takes it off, throws it to the ground. He's crying his eyes out. Honestly, the most emotional man I've ever seen in the octagon. Just a very unfortunate situation. And the craziest way I've probably ever lost a bet in my life. Petr Yan loses his belt by disqualification. Al, I know I've been rambling. What can you add to this one, my man?
Oh, so much.
There's just so much.
So I had a bet on Sterling, and right away, this is more of like, I'm just a huge Ray Longo fan. If you guys don't know who that is, that's Aljamain Sterling's head trainer. The best. He's Chris Weidman's coach. He used to be Matt Serra's coach. He is just a funny New York fight game trainer who's been in the game for 25 years. He's an amazing follow, an amazing listen, just a super great guy. And you kept hearing him in the corner in between rounds telling him, like, at one point he said, the more that you do, the more that you're doing to yourself. So you need to take down the volume. You need to stop, you need to slow it down. And that's, Aljamain beat himself as soon as he came out there with that frantic, he was so frantic, and he was so he was just so high paced. And I feel like that was
really nervous energy, real adrenal. Yeah, I think you're right, Al.
And he kind of psyched himself out, and it's strange because, it's not strange. It's exactly how it should have played out, because Petr Yan has this really rudimentary style of this Russian boxing. It's very similar to Gennady Golovkin, where he just he stomps forward, and especially with the kicks, he's just so elusive, but also so imposing. And it's something, they said it well in the broadcast, that there's something about him that makes you get makes you get super nervous and super you're thinking of things like 7 other different ways because you don't know what he's going to do. He's just that typical scary, silent Russian man. He's like a slightly taller hob job. But this was the strangest thing, because I put in the results, the betting results for on the website at odds.com, and I got to the point where Sterling by DQ, and then I'm looking and I'm like, well, does the inside the distance for Sterling cash? And if so, what? And then that brings me to my next point. I'll say it: FanDuel, Bet365, DraftKings, PointsBet, all of these big billion-dollar companies need to refund that money. No, not even refund the money. They should pay out on Sterling, refund on Yan, pay out on the Sterling inside the distance, and they should refund on Yan. Any bets on Yan should, if you bet on Yan and you bet with a very large commercial sports book, you should not have lost your bet, because it is not within the spirit of the business for that to be a loss. Because, you said that this is the strangest way that you've ever lost a bet. I will get you one further. Let's go back to the 2019 Kentucky Derby. A great horse by the name of Maximum Security won the race. The horse got a little bit spooked coming around the final corner by the crowd, and the horse kind of cut off the pack, and he was ahead, or she, I'm not sure, but the horse was ahead, but the horse kind of got spooked by the crowd and cut everybody off, and the horse got disqualified. And I had a massive bet on Maximum Security, and Country House won the 2019 Kentucky Derby by disqualification and cashed at like 18-1. And what good sports books did then, and I understand we're talking about the difference between animals and people, but still, what the sports books did then is they paid out on Maximum Security and they paid out on Country House. And any good sports book that has goodwill will either refund. You can't say that they should pay out, because that would it's just not. Say what you want. Even if Jan had 2 points taken away going into that fifth round, that's still a fight.
Yeah,
You're
and
still at a fight.
Dude, you're exactly right, and that's one thing I want to talk about. So let's think about alternate outcomes here, because the problem is I feel like we know more of the story after the fight, which is unfortunate. The referee deemed it unintentional. He almost deemed it, as a DQ because of the fact that he told Petr, you cannot do that, and then he almost immediately does it, right? Almost in jest of what the referee's telling him, right? Which would be, blatant cheating, a foul. But we kind of find out it's kind of a lost in translation type thing, right? He receives bad advice or convoluted advice from his corner, thinks that he's throwing a legal strike. At least according to him, right? Here's what I think makes the most sense, Al. I think, first off, I wish Aljo, if he was hurt so bad he couldn't continue, I wish he wasn't, right? I wish we could have seen the fight go on. I would have been absolutely fine with Petr Yan having a point taken, Petr Yan even having 2 points taken, right? Because you're right, Al. Petr's winning the scorecards on he's winning on my scorecard, right? And I expected him to go on to win that fourth round and to win the fifth round. But mathematically speaking, you're talking about a shot at having a draw here. And, a draw would solve all this funky stuff we're talking about on the betting aspect, right? Aljo bettors push, they get their money refunded. The Petr Yan bettors push, they get their money kicked back. Honestly, I feel like that'd be a more clean situation here. But instead we have, like I said, the Aljo bet that didn't look to be a very good bet. Al, we've yet to mention the fact that Petr Yan was minus 3,000 to minus 4,000 live going into that fourth round. The books themselves said this fight is over, right? It's the funkiest thing, Al. This is truly the craziest sport that there is. And I feel like we end up talking about some weird anomaly thing, just these insane situations that, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a rule change based off this situation, because I feel like this is one of those things that you have like on paper in the rules, but for a guy to eat a legal shot and then have the choice, we're putting it on the fighter, not even the referee. It's the fighter's choice. Aljamain Sterling it's Modelo. Aljamain Sterling had a choice. If he stands up, he goes on to lose the fight. If he just lays down and stays down, he's the new 135-pound champion of the world. He made his choice. Can you really blame him? No. Aljo cashes. I just don't know what else to say. Is there anything left to say, Al?
Just one thing. I felt that it was really irresponsible by the broadcast to not mention that in the UFC, it's one of the only promotions. It's one of the only promotions that I know of, like on the big scale. I know Bellator as well, actually, but more specifically, where Petr Yan fought in ACB, and all of the promotions around there in Asia, Ryzen, one championship, you are allowed to knee a downed opponent.
I know it, man. And you got to wonder, Petr Yan, don't get me wrong. He's a UFC champion. And it's like, you feel like the dude's got to know better. But at the same time, that weird position, I feel like he couldn't necessarily see if, Sterling's knees were down. What if he thought Sterling was, crouching on the, like on the balls of his feet and his knees were up? It's just one of those things, man. We'll never know. We'll never know what went through Petr Yan's mind when he threw the shot, and we'll never know what went through Aljo's mind when he had to make that on-the-spot decision to probably go on to lose this fight or get the belt, undeservingly. And man, I in a way I feel bad for Aljo to have
Oh,
to
absolutely,
make this choice,
absolutely.
because it's a no-win situation. Even to be the champion, nobody wants to be the champion that way. And
No.
and I feel bad for the guy, even though he is officially the 7th UFC 135-pound bantamweight champion. It's just unreal, man. When we saw this situation with Anthony Smith, John Jones, and I will say this, man, I know this happened years ago at this point. Tip of the cap to Anthony Smith. His name's Lionheart. I really admire his ability to, say, you know what, that's not worth ending the fight. I'm not taking the cheap route out. Let me take this L on the chin, right? But I knew this was going to happen someday, and sure enough, here we are. And it's the funkiest thing, man. Should we move on to the co-main event here, Al?
Yes, let's
it
go
ain't
to
gonna
this.
take long to talk about, is it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe there's kind of more going on behind the scenes. Yeah.